KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling. Hey, what is going on, guys? This is the KayFabe Smark Podcast. This is episode 86 coming at you on January 13th, 2022. Make sure you guys get on over, easy for me to say, make sure you guys get over to all the social media platforms as TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, the KayFabe Smark, and also right here on YouTube. If you're not listening on YouTube, watching on YouTube, hop over to YouTube. Hit that subscribe button, hit the bell, hit the notification, do what you do, smash the like button, all of that fun stuff. We're going to talk about pro wrestling. But before we get into all of that, we are going to make sure we get in and talk to our buddy, Mr. Eric Todd. Eric, what's happening in your world?
Oh, you know, Brian. Same old, same old. It's been a pretty low-key week for me. Usually I've got some sort of big event or something funny to talk about that happened throughout the week. But it has been super low-key. You do anything exciting this week?
Nothing exciting, just some regular old shoot work, some old regular working, and living life and trying to stay warm. It's been bitter cold here in Michigan. I don't know about you, but I've been freezing my nuts off.
Oh yeah, it's wreaking havoc on my sinuses there. We went through a couple 1-degree days when you get up for shoot work in the morning. And then last couple days it's been 35, 40. So my sinuses don't play with that shit.
It's been getting a little balmy here in Michigan, a warm 30 degrees outside. It's supposed to have a high of 4 degrees this Sunday, so with the weather out of the way, our new segment, the weather, before we get started, you got some news for us?
I do got some news. Surprisingly, seeing as our last show we did was last Sunday, it's only been a few days, but I was able to yank some news stories out of the dirt sheets and archives here. So slap that ticker and we'll get into it.
Let's see what kind of news Eric has dug up since Sunday. It is Thursday now. Been a few days. It's Eric with the news.
Oh shit. I am slacking, guys. If you're on the video, I forgot to hit my news background. But so we did talk about last week, Brian, that Mickie James is bursting through the forbidden door. She's going to be in the WWE Women's Royal Rumble. Well, looks like that lit a little fire under WWE's ass, and they are trying for an unexpected Forbidden Door entrant for the Men's Royal Rumble match. There's an insider source called WrestleVotes, and he's reporting on Twitter that the company is attempting to secure an unexpected name for the 2022 Men's Royal Rumble, and he tweeted, and I quote, "Had more than one source this weekend, without me directly asking, state that they believe WWE will try for an unexpected Forbidden Door entrant." Boy, I've said Forbidden Door a lot, haven't I? For the Men's Royal Rumble. Personally, I'm skeptical it happens, but I can confirm WWE is at least open to the idea, which is exciting enough.
So somebody who's not signed to the company is going to come wrestle for him for one night only.
Yeah, I think they're making a big much ado about nothing. Like, there was kind of some hubbub when Mickie James got announced, but I think when it comes down to it, it's just going to kind of be like, eh.
Well, either that, I think it'll be meh, because the only way it can be mind-blowing, strap your wigs on with your chin piece, right, is if they win.
I was going to say, if she wins.
If the guy wins or the girl wins, otherwise it's like, all right, cool. We tossed you a cool G to come out. We tossed you a G bar to come out and wrestle for 22 minutes for 48 seconds to get eliminated. We flew you in from Japan. Who cares? Like, what's it matter if they're not going to do something? That's why it was kind of a cool thing when Edge returned, when Christian returned. You were like, are they here? Are they not here? And they had been there before, so there was a chance to stay, right? And especially then they went so far into it that year that when Christian and Edge came back into it. So it was interesting and different then, but a forbidden door, unless they're going to keep it open, who cares?
Yeah. I'm not going to lie. I'd pop if Mickie James somehow won.
Yeah.
And then she was putting her Impact title on the line at WrestleMania against one of the women's championships.
Sure.
But it ain't going to happen. WWE ain't opening that door that wide. We all know that.
Yeah, and say it's, just pick a name here. Jay White is always one that's being thrown around from New Japan, leader of the Bullet Club. He's coming to WWE. Okay, so they have Jay White jump over as the Forbidden Door. They can have Jay White represent. There's no real TV in the States. It's hard to find. How does it help WWE? How does it help WWE? And that's what they're in the business for, WWE, right?
Yeah, I don't know. I think they just want to make their company a little more likable. People are always licking Tony Khan's proverbial balls because he'll let anybody wrestle from any company, and he'll let his top stars go to Mexico or Japan or Antarctica and wrestle polar bears for fake belts. So it's like, Tony Khan's a super likable guy. Vince McMahon's always looked at as the evil billionaire. So I don't know. Maybe it's just trying to put a nice little polish on the company and make them a little more likable.
Sure, after you've went and fired everybody from NXT, rebranded the entire thing, and everybody pretty much hates it, you're going, don't hate me. I'll bring over somebody for 12 minutes in the Royal Rumble match.
I'll bring over Jay Lethal.
Yeah. Who cares?
Wouldn't that be something?
Yeah.
Ring of Honor, AEW, and WWE all within a month.
Within 1 year. Speaking of Ring of Honor, I'll transcend the news here. Ring of Honor announced that their Super Card of Honor pay-per-view is happening in April. It's going down already. So their little postponement of shutting the company down, they've announced that it's going hot. They've got a pay-per-view planned for April of this year. So we'll see how that pans out when all their talent kind of skedaddled around, but I'm sure they'll come back home.
Yeah, they're going to have to do some begging and borrowing, at least for a few of the guys. You can't have a Ring of Honor pay-per-view without Jay Lethal, speaking of him.
Yeah, Jay Lethal, the Briscoes. You got to get your boys back in gear, right? But that was my little piece of the news. What else you got for us?
All right, so MLW announced on Tuesday that they are filing an antitrust lawsuit against WWE. The suit claims WWE's ongoing attempts to undermine competition and monopolize the professional wrestling market by interfering with MLW's contracts and business prospects. So this goes into pretty much WWE threatening Vice TV if they aired MLW content, threatening Tubi, which is owned by Fox, if they air MLW content. And WWE responded to these allegations with a very short response, and they say WWE believes these claims have no merit and intends to vigorously defend itself against them.
Okay, so meaning, let's break it down, meaning Vince is going to tie this up in court until you're broke and can't handle it no more.
Yep. RIP MLW, because Vince will keep this thing tied up in court until either A, they give up, or B, they go bankrupt.
Right. Hopefully they just give up first. I get that you can be mad at the big guy. You can be mad at Big Brother. You're allowed to. But, it's not new. It shouldn't surprise anybody that WWE's pulling some shady tactics with people that they're in bed with. They're in bed with Fox, which is, leads down the line of all these things are owned by each other. It's the way it rolls.
Right, and Tubi is owned by Fox, so WWE's going to pull some strings with that. They've been doing this type of shit for 30, 40 years. You go back to, I want to say 85 or something. Another company tried to run a pay-per-view, and Vince said, fuck you if you run, I think it was, what was NWA's or WCW's big thing back then?
Anyways, go ahead and I'll think of it in a second.
Yeah. I can't remember the name. It's biggest pay-per-view ever for WCW. But Vince pretty much said, yeah, if you run that, you can't
Starrcade.
have WrestleMania. So yeah, Starrcade. If you run Starrcade, you can't have WrestleMania. And pay-per-view was like, nah, we'll take WrestleMania.
Yeah, Vince has been, playing dirty business tactics since he bought the wrestling business from every independent promoter that there was. Every backyard outlaw mud show that there was, he bought them all, and don't be surprised. He's got his business to maintain, and they do the same thing to the next guy. So, oh well, what are you gonna do? It'll be interesting to see how it turns out, what they do.
Our insider source here, WrestleVotes, has another inside story here, Brian. If there was one superstar in AEW that that hasn't been in WWE yet, that you thought WWE might try to poach, what would your guess be off the top of your head?
All right, repeat that one more time real quick.
All right.
I want to make sure I digest it right.
AEW star,
Okay.
AEW original, has
Okay.
not spent any time in WWE. WWE wants to poach him. Who would your guess be?
Gut goes right to MJF.
Yeah, me too. Maybe Adam Page, since his little
Sure.
little rant on Dynamite this week. But it turns out it's Wardlow.
That doesn't surprise me either, though, to be honest with you, because of Vince and size.
Right. Now, this is a little spoiler alert for something going on later, but I watched a Braun Breaker match recently, and looking at Braun Breaker's face and looking at Wardlow's face, I think Rick Steiner was making his way. He was doing territories in more ways than one back in the day, because I think Rick Steiner is Wardlow's daddy.
It's like his cousin. Those Wardlow, Rick Steiner, or Wardlow and Braun Breaker, they have a very, very, very similar look. And their physiques are they're both as jacked monsters. A guy like Wardlow doesn't surprise me because Vince sees a raw, giant man that he could just mold and make his own, and he's so young.
Yeah, I guess the official report says WWE has a keen eye on Wardlow and would like him to jump ship when his AEW contract expires. The quote, WWE will be extremely interested in luring Wardlow away from AEW when his contract is due. There are several people within World Wrestling Entertainment that, in all caps, love his potential. Now, Wardlow did not waste any time responding to this. He did an interview a day or two later, and I have a quote from him that says, "As far as the world knows, my career started with AEW and it's going to end with AEW. And I look forward to accomplishing and growing as much as humanly possible and reach the stars throughout the next 10 years. AEW made my lifelong wildest dreams come true. Tony Khan gave me that. Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, they gave me that. The way people are treated here, the schedule, I am so beyond blessed, and I don't think there's any convincing me that the grass is greener on any other side. Very, very happy with AEW and the way I'm treated and just how the whole company is ran head to toe." I think a couple $1 million could change his mind.
I also think, the idea of the merchandising, the way that WWE and the way that they get their merchandising out, they're Disney, you know what I'm saying? Like they're a machine. They are getting their stuff out. So the money. Also, he doesn't want to rock the boat of AEW. Meaning, is he going to go and say like, yeah, 3 years when my contract's up, guess where I'm heading? Like, okay, that'll make for a real comfortable working environment for the next 3 years, 2.5 years, 16 months. It doesn't matter what the number is. I don't know. I'm just making one up. But he has to be there, so why not have a good time while he's there? And when it's up, he's going to go talk to him. He's going to talk to him.
You'll at least talk to him. Yeah.
Sting admitted to talking to Vince all the time, but he couldn't come to an agreement in the 90s to jump over. And that was where the story Vince would always tell Sting to dot his T's and cross his I's when he signs with WCW, meaning spell your name wrong. and come sign with me. Like, he would say it backwards. But, like, he's going to go talk to him. They're going to offer the money. They're going to show it, lay it out. Wardlow to the moon. And he'll either bite or he won't. And he's gonna play it against him and go, WWE's offer me this. Come on, TK, get your checkbook out.
Yeah, and I think a guy like Wardlow, with his size and with his look, he has to go over there and at least sniff the grass to see if it's greener. If you're a Danny Garcia or even Sammy Guevara, even an Adam Page, who's an AEW champion, being a small guy, you're going to be very, very apprehensive about doing anything with Vince McMahon, because he'll sign you to one of those famous 4-year, 90-day contracts, and he'll get rid of you as soon as he signs you.
Get rid of you.
You never know.
Get rid of you rather than look at you eventually. One day he'll go, you make me sick. You're fired.
And he'll blow pencil shavings in your face. Don't touch my egg.
My egg. Yeah, maybe you should stay with AEW.
And then our final story, looks like the biggest story of the week right here. WWE Hall of Famer Tammy Sytch has been arrested again, Brian Rampa. Are you surprised?
Not at all. I totally missed this one, but please continue. What did she do this time?
This isn't WrestleVotes this time. This is TMZ reporting. TMZ reveals that Sytch was arrested in New Jersey on Thursday for allegedly making terroristic threats and unlawfully possessing a weapon. The New Jersey statute reads, a person is guilty of a crime of the... screw that. Screw the reading the statute here. We'll just go to what the police say. The police records reveal that she has been issued with 3 charges. 2 charges are for illegally possessing a weapon and 1 charge for terroristic threats. TMZ noted it does not appear that the weapon was a firearm. So Tammy Sytch making terroristic threats, not with a gun. I don't know what that means. Maybe she had some firecrackers and a butt plug, and she was going to blow shit all over the place. Who knows? But Tammy Lynn Sytch has been out of prison for less than a year, and she's nearing 10 arrests over the last decade. So let's go, Tammy. Let's go for number 10, baby.
Oh, my God. Poor Tammy. I mean, she was at the top of the mountain. She was it. It was sunny days.
When she was with
Chris Candido.
Chris Candido, and they had the workout gear and shit, I was so into Sunny. Sunny was so hot. And then a couple years ago, I saw her her tape, her interesting tape that broke on the internet, and that was appetite suppressing right there.
Wasn't quite the same Sunny that she was with LOD 2000. Wasn't quite the same Sunny as the Smoking Guns.
No, not at all.
No.
So yeah, Sonny, do your thing. Go rob banks. Do what you got to do, baby, but don't make any sex tapes.
Call Nick Gage and Rob Banks. That's how you wrestlers get down. Any other news tidbits for us?
No, that's going to wrap it on the news, Brian. So slap the ticker. Let's get out of that.
He goes, nah. That was the news. Tammy Lynn Sytch, she's in trouble again. Wardlow, is he going to WWE? Who knows? Stay tuned to find out. But now, my friends, it's time to play our world-famous game show.
Let's play Overrated or Underrated with Eric Todd.
Eric, we're going to play some overrated, underrated. This time, we're going to do a little mid-card title. This is somebody going from the mid-card to the championship. Mid-card to the moon. And I'm basing it off of mid-card championships. I even have some days for us here. But overrated or underrated? Dolph Ziggler making the jump from mid-card to champion in the WWE.
Oh, poor Dolph Ziggler. I love Dolph Ziggler. I like his brother, Ryan, over in AEW. But Dolph Ziggler, that was just not his spot to make the jump. you're mid card for life. And yeah, his jump to the top of the game right there was tremendously overrated to me.
Simple as that. He became champ 42 days after dropping the Intercontinental Championship. Here we go. Here's another overrated or underrated for you. Mid-card to champion. Overrated or underrated? Randy Orton, after 35 days after dropping his IC championship to becoming the champion. Overrated or underrated, taking Randy Orton to that main event status?
All right, you know how this is going to go, Brian. You're an RKO Mark. I'm an RKO Mark. We love his dirty arms. We love his physique. We love his daddy and his arm that was broken for 42 years. Um, yeah, Randy Orton, he had a shitty attitude when he was in OVW over a Cornette. Cornette would tell you that all day long, and he loves Randy Orton. But that kid was born to be a wrestling star. He wasn't even into wrestling when he was in OVW, but this guy belonged at the top of the game from the very beginning. So yeah, he couldn't have been moved up. Yeah, he couldn't have been moved up any better timing, I guess.
Yeah.
Definitely underrated on his ascension. It worked out quite well for him.
What do you say about this one here? Overrated or underrated? Rob Van Dam making the jump 27 days after dropping his IC championship to main event superstar. Rob Van Dam, what you call overrated or underrated?
All right, so this one's going to be a tough one for me because Rob Van Dam is it's on a much different scale, but he's kind of the Joey Janela of the wrestling world there. He can do some stuff. He has his niche and the people just absolutely love him. And it was an experiment putting him at the top, but I don't think it turned out as well as as intended. And yeah, putting Rob Van Dam at the top of WWE would be like kind of giving Joey Janela the TNT championship. It would be like, oh, that's kind of funny for a minute, but then long term it just wouldn't work out. So Rob Van Dam's ascension is a little overrated.
See, I would I have to disagree. But I was a huge Rob Van Dam mark. I'm talking from ECW when he was Mr. Monday Night. That was his heel gimmick over there. But anyways, I was a Rob Van Dam guy. Here we go. Overrated or underrated? Bobby Lashley, his new current run that he's in, making his jump from U.S. champion only 8 days. He drops it, and then 8 days later becoming a world champion. Overrated, underrated? Bobby Lashley going from mid-card to main event.
Now, I don't know. Bobby Lashley his career is a complete enigma. You and I saw Bobby Lashley. He was at the top of his game at WrestleMania 23 in Detroit, right. But he was at the top. Nobody really gave a shit. You know, I was more into Umaga than I was Bobby Lashley back then. And but now I can't get enough of the guy. So having him come back and sticking rockets up his ass and shooting him to the moon, and now having him going up against arguably one of the biggest stars to ever grace a WWE ring, Brock Lesnar. What they did with Bobby Lashley, this current run, 2021, 2022, completely underrated. It's one of the best things in wrestling right now.
I'd have to agree with you. It's a pretty good one. I was not an original Bobby Lashley fan, but on his return here, I'm all in. Overrated or underrated? The Ultimate Warrior going from mid-card to champion. Well, 0 days after dropping his title because he held the IC title and the world title at the same time for a few moments.
Talk about sticking rockets up a guy's ass, pointing them towards the moon, and then having them hit Mars. This fucking goofball. They had such good intentions for him, but the poor guy just kept getting in his own way. And this is going to be a duality, Brian, because you and I both were little warriors when we were kids, and it sucked when he beat Hogan, but Warrior as champion, I was all in back then. So back then, I would have been, if this is the 80s, it's underrated. But knowing what I know now and seeing Dark Side of the Ring and hearing Bruce Pritchard and hearing Jim Cornette, shooting him that high, it made money for a minute. But overall, I think it was a blemish on WWE's record of choosing top stars. So I would say at this point in my life, it's overrated.
Yeah, that was a big one that was like so big, but like the music, him running to the ring, the streamers, the face paint, shaking the ropes, running around like a maniac. I mean, he was cut to the T. He was just, physique was out of this world. As a kid, you're going, what more is there? Hulk Hogan comes out and he tears a yellow plastic bag off of his chest and he points at you. Like, Warrior had the
Dollar General t-shirt.
Yeah, like Warrior got that merchandise, baby. That was where it was at. So I was all in with Warrior then, but again, looking back, you're going, wow, as good as it was, that shit could have been this.
If he knew what he was doing, it could have been so much bigger.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And that, my friends, is overrated, underrated with Mr. Eric Todd, our mid-card to main event style gimmick there. And now we are going to get in and start talking about some pro wrestling. We got AEW happening last night, and we're going to break that down per usual, little match-by-match synopsis, and give our, well, what pissed us off and what made us happy. Eric, where are we starting at here?
We're going to go a little off track here, Brian. I don't have a graphic for it, so we're going NWO right now. But I took a side street. This was a match that I didn't watch when it happened, but listening to other people talk about it, I had to hop in the time machine and go back in time 9 days and watch this match. It is from January 4th, 2022 at the New Year's Evil show for NXT 2.0, and I am talking about the championship match between Tommaso Ciampa and Bron Breakker, a.k.a. Bronson Rick Steiner. I was trying to think of his real last name there.
Yeah, this is the son of Rick Steiner going in there. I popped back. We'll break down the kayfabe wall here. I watched it as well. I was ready for Eric to talk about this. I just didn't know when it was coming up. But we watched this. I went back and checked it out. Now, I had kept up a little bit on this match per social media stuff through TikTok clips, Instagram, and maybe a few little small YouTube things and the review of it. So, but why don't you lead us through this and let's break it down. What did you like? What didn't you like about this?
All right. So first things first, I was listening to the Jim Cornette, one of his podcasts there, and he mentions that this is Bron Breakker's only his 20th or so televised match. Yeah. And this match for a guy who's only been in the business for just over a year and who's only wrestled on TV 20 times, this guy's a savant 100%. This match was so smooth, and they started off with simple moves, them being Breakker and Ciampa here, but they were almost showing off on how short and concise these moves were. They were using maybe 1/4 of the ring, and it was just pop, 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 one after the other. They were always in the right spot at the right time, and nothing looked rehearsed. It was just kind of like, for a keen eye, you're like, man, these guys are experts.
Now, the question I have is, this match was good. This match looked smooth. It went well. Bron Breakker is an athlete. No question about it. That we'll break down, but that standing moonsault that we saw in this match, the things that he did, the suplexes, the nonsense, all of it. Anywho, those were beautiful. But do you think his dancing partner made him look about that little much better, right? Can he do that same dance with some other 2.0 schlub that we've never heard of, not with a Tommaso Ciampa, though? Ciampa's another level, right? So can he dance with somebody else? Can he dance with anybody, or does he dance with Tommaso?
That's a very good point to bring up, and I didn't even think about it. Yeah, you're putting the belt on this guy. Spoiler alert if you're 2 weeks behind. But yeah, is he going to be able to lead a dance? and make a match look this good. This is the first match that I've personally seen of Braun Breaker, and Tommaso Ciampa can polish a turd. He can have a good match with a broom handle. And so, yeah, I don't know. For me personally, we'll just see what happens. But speaking of suplexes, the power on Braun Breaker, he's only billed at 6 foot tall, probably around 250, 260. Ciampa is a shorter guy, but he's built like a brick shit house, so he's got some weight on him. Braun Breaker just keeping him perfectly vertical and just prancing around the ring, just walking like nothing, like he's picking up his mail from the mailbox and dropping these beautiful vertical suplexes on Tommaso Ciampa.
Yeah. He got the size from the uncle, man. Whatever Scotty Steiner had in him, he got the size from Scotty because he didn't have. Let's be honest, Rick was never jacked like that. Like he was not that big. He was always in good shape, but he was just he just looked like a strong farm boy is what I always would put Rick as, just naturally strong. Like, oh, where should I put this? And just pick it up and throw it. But Braun, he's got that Scotty Steiner size to him and mass, and he's just handling grown men like they were children. Simple as that.
And I'm a little confused on WWE's direction with this. They changed his name to Braun Breaker. Cornette made a point, and it was like, well, I kind of see what you're saying, but I don't think it's as big a deal as Cornette's making it out to be. He thinks the name's stupid. He thinks they should just call him Braun Steiner or Bronson Steiner. And his point is it's the name test. When you're main eventing a WrestleMania, which should be everybody's goal in WWE, what is a better name on the card? Brock Lesnar versus Braun Steiner or Brock Lesnar versus Braun Breaker? And Cornette made the point that Braun Breaker just sounds silly. It doesn't sound like a main event WrestleMania name.
Yeah, it has that Breaker. Breaker makes me think of something like gimmicky. Is why I don't like it. It makes me think like he's like the breaker of necks or something, right? Where it's gonna be like cheesy, like a job gimmick, if you will, where just your name is your name, and if you just can be a badass. Brock Lesnar is now a brand, right? But you just hear that name and you go, "That's a pretty good name." But back in 2002, you didn't sweat it. You just moved on. But now it's gonna be so. But I think the same thing. But you also have to take into consideration too the Steiner name. And Scotty kind of tainted a lot of that.
And that leads more into my confusion here, where WWE sort of suppresses his family lineage there. With the name, they don't really make any reference. They'll say something about his father. Oh, we learned that from his father, but they really don't say the Steiner name. There's video clips online of Rick Steiner celebrating with Braun Breaker at the end of this match, but that didn't make it to WWE TV. So they're kind of suppressing it, but they're kind of letting it in at the same time. I'm sure you noticed throughout this entire match, the crowd here and there was just barking at Braun Breaker constantly, and we all know that's a Steiner Brothers thing.
Yeah, that, and he had a pair of his dad's boots on with the big dog on the boots.
I didn't notice that. Yeah, I was like, man, those boots look pretty old for only wrestling 20 matches.
Yeah, he's wrestling in daddy's boots. But there could be a separation. Maybe he wants to make it on his own and not really think about that he has to live up to a Steiner name. Right? The Steiner brothers were everything through the 80s and 90s, and hell, into the 2000s. Right? The Steiner brothers were everything, especially Scott. Scotty went to another level. Scott Steiner went up there to another level and then continued on through TNA and everything else. But, maybe there's a lot of pressure for him to be a Steiner. Maybe he didn't want to be a Steiner.
Maybe he wanted to forge his own path. But we already gave credit to Tommaso Ciampa, but we got to get him some more. So when you see knee strikes on AEW, there's a few guys who can deliver them right, but overall, knee strikes on AEW, it's just kind of like, you you see he's aiming for 2 inches above his head. He's slapping the shit out of his leg. Tommaso Ciampa's knee strikes are just absolutely brutal. Whether it was the first set that he's doing right here while Braun Breaker's on the apron, or towards the end of the match when he peels his knee pad down and he is just jamming his knee into Braun Breaker's eye socket. There's no way around it. He's delivering these knees just incredibly.
Yeah, this was the level that they took the physicality to was it. It sold it well. So whether they were going hot, whether they were knowing how to work perfectly, I think this just had the perfect little chemistry of a great match that missed my radar for a little bit. I knew that he had won, but I didn't go back and really give it the all once over and start to peel back the layers. And these guys just danced and gelled very well together.
Yeah, we'll try not to spend too much time on this, but just to hit a few more points of what these guys did right. Braun Breaker sells like he's been doing this forever. The guy sells his ass off like crazy. This spine buster, we just get a regular spine buster in the middle of the ring, and that's brutal. And then that's where the Braun Breaker standing moonsault that you mentioned earlier comes in. This guy's 6 foot tall and 250, 260 pounds. He floated. Gravity was just completely defied because he should not have been able to get his big ass to do a complete backflip, and he just floated right into this moonsault and landed on Ciampa. I think his aim was a little off because it was slightly after that Ciampa was bleeding from his eyebrow, and definitely looked like a hard way, getting color the hard way.
Yeah, that jump, and I saw that man flip. I said, wow, that's like a baby cow. That's a calf doing a backflip. I mean, but defying gravity, just straight up flip, land. I mean, you're throwing a body around like that, you might catch something the hard way, but it was an amazing standing moonsault. It's any moonsault, standing moonsault's amazing to me watching these guys do it, but watching a guy that big was like, you're not supposed to do that. And he did.
Right. And then we got to talk about Braun Breaker flapjacking Tommaso Ciampa through the announce table. That could not have went any better. That table was set up perfectly. It pretty much exploded when Breaker put Ciampa through it. And Ciampa just sits up and then lays back down. The cell went perfectly with it too. It was, I'm not huge on, weapons and gimmicks and tables and shit being involved in matches all the time, but for use of an announce table, that was done absolutely flawlessly.
100%. And what I liked about it is that it happened like that. It was boom, boom, it was up. It wasn't like I got to tip over I got to get all the pencils off the table and no pieces of paper on here at all. It was just like a quick arm sweep and flip and just flapjacked him right through that table. Quick. It wasn't long drawn setup to get set through the table.
Yeah, absolutely. And then once again, Ciampa sold it perfectly. We get some false finishes here where I think a lot of people are on the train of, Braun Breaker's not ready to lead the company, so to speak, at this point. Tommaso Ciampa does a great job as NXT champion, and Ciampa hits the fairy tale ending, modified pedigree, so to speak, and only gets a 2 count out of that, and the crowd seems absolutely shocked. We see Tommaso Ciampa putting Braun Breaker on the top rope. Throughout this match, Braun Breaker had terrible luck when he was trying to go up to the top rope or if he ended up on the top rope. Braun Breaker fights out of this little engagement with Ciampa there, hits a bulldog off the top rope. And then this is where we hit our little buffet of Steiner moves here. We get the bulldog off the top rope, and then Braun Breaker earlier hit a Frankensteiner.
Yes.
And then now Braun Breaker locks in the Steiner recliner, actually makes Tommaso Ciampa tap and becomes your new NXT champion.
Yeah, this thing had all of it, all the great qualities of a match, and I'm sad to probably be seeing Tommaso Ciampa roll on with his career, and I don't know if he's gonna. I know and his NXT run is a wrap. I'm not sure if he's gonna be able to stick around anything WWE, if he's gonna be out there in no man's land, trying to find a home. Maybe he'll be wrestling at Ring of Honor or something along those lines. But I hope he finds somewhere that I can watch him, because I've always enjoyed Tommaso Ciampa, and I just think it's a terrible thing that they're going to let him walk away. A talent like that, they're going to let walk away from WWE, even if it's not the NXT brand. Fine, rebrand the NXT brand, but send him to SmackDown. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, and unfortunately, just with his age and with his size, he's not hitting WWE's current goal for a mold of a performer these days.
Well,
so yeah, it's pretty much wrapped that we're going to see Ciampa leave here pretty soon.
Yeah, that, and he's had previous neck injuries as well. So, he's got that going for him. He's got neck injuries, and he's got age against him. So, unfortunately, hopefully he can find somewhere to wrestle that I can watch him. But that match was amazing. I thought it was really good. It was something I slept on, not going to lie.
Yeah, for sure. And if you guys haven't watched it, if you're like us, and you saw that NXT 2.0 rebranding and you said to hell with this, go back and watch that. You can find it on YouTube, even if you didn't DVR the actual NXT show.
Yeah, I think you can even pop up NXT on Peacock. I think you got you can call back a couple weeks, so check it out. But are we moving forward now with our AEW?
Yeah, I think it's time to get into our TBS Dynamite show here, Brian Rampa.
TBS Dynamite. Holy camole.
All right, and we're starting off hot. We got the irrefutable era in the ring there, that being Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Adam Cole here.
Bay.
The Bucks and Brandon Cutlet are quick to interrupt. The Bucks tell Kylo and Fish that this is their company and they want their belts back. And surprise, surprise, Brian, Kylo and Bobby Fish have the same exact goal. They want those AEW tag team belts.
Yeah, and then I was kind of surprised the angle that they set up for Adam Cole to take on this, where he was like, this is what we need. A little friendly, competitive, a little friendly match here between the two of you. Like, he didn't try to stop it. Oh, come on. We all get along here. He was like, Adam Cole's like, fuck it, why don't you guys fight? I'm not involved.
Yeah, kind of downplaying the whole thing. Sure, you guys are after the same thing. A little competition makes everything better.
Yeah.
Ha, 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 ha. This is a new era in AEW, and why he hasn't hopped onto the bandwagon from the KayFabe Smark podcast and our good friend Andy, and start calling themselves the irrefutable era. It needs to be done. Adam Cole, we're calling you out.
Yes, we're going to clip that out. I'm going to note the time right there. 41 minutes. We will dive in and make that a clip for TikTok.
So Bobby Fish he's not one to back down. He says even the Bucks won't stop them from getting the belts. Adam Cole's trying to keep everybody cool, calm, collected. You guys can be competition, but we're all one big happy faction here. And then Captain Spare Tire, that would be Chuck Taylor, him, Trent Beretta, and Orange Cassidy, and Taylor Muda, or whatever the hell his name is there. They come out, the Best Friend Squad. Orange Cassidy, kind of with a new attitude here. He's in no fake kicks, no hands in his pockets. He just immediately tackles Adam Cole and goes with the ground and pound. And I was trying to, me, Brian, trying to pick apart everything I could about Orange Cassidy at this point. But in this segment, I guess Orange Cassidy did everything right. Even his punches looked pretty decent out of Adam Cole here.
Adam Cole said, you either hit me right or I'm going to hit you backstage. So, yeah, this was interesting. The thing that so we get this melee. This melee breaks out. So you get the Bucks kind of challenging, or the Red Dragon, Kylo and Fish, challenging the Bucks. I assume they're looking to get a tag team title match. I mean, we haven't seen the Bucks fight in like 2 months. So it's a weird thing. Then you get this melee that breaks out, and then out of nowhere, Chris Statlander gets in the middle of this.
Yeah, right here we got everyone brawling. Adam Cole, low blow on Orange Cassidy here. We got Orange Cassidy on his knees. Chris Statlander makes her entrance and gets in between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. And this, Brian, I swear these fans, they have good intentions, good hearts. I feel they really love wrestling, but they really want to destroy professional wrestling. The roots of professional wrestling, they just want to burn them to hell, because the Squared Circle subreddit over on Reddit, of course, was going bananas over this segment and saying that Tony Khan needs to just go with it and start doing intergender matches, starting with Adam Cole and Chris Statlander. And on the surface, it sounds like a joke, but the whole thing behind everyone in this subreddit is saying is, we all know it's fake. It would be such an entertaining match to see Chris Statlander versus Adam Cole. That would be the biggest abomination on a wrestling screen, in my opinion. Why? That would just take any believability of professional wrestling. Again, we all know it's choreographed, but we all know the art of pro wrestling is sucking you in and making you forget that it's fake. And they just want to burn it to the ground. They want Chris Statlander versus Adam Cole.
Yeah, I don't want that. Nothing about that sounds interesting. Because I don't think that there was a second that Chris Statlander could last. Like, I don't believe
and that's the whole thing. We're stuck in the Stone Age, Brian. We're stuck in the Rock and Roll Express versus the Midnight Express days, where we want some believability. These people's argument is, we all know it's fake. We just want to be entertained. And other indie promotions are doing intergender matches. Tony Khan needs to just jump on the bandwagon and do intergender matches. I swear, if Tony Khan starts doing intergender matches, I'll stop watching. I'll start watching Impact, and we can report on Impact matches. I don't know.
Yeah, not interested in that. An intergender tag match, spoiler alert, we'll speak on that in a little bit here. You can get by on those for what they're worth, because you have options. And I think you can get by on the tag style. So if they wanted to make an intergender tag style thing, I mean, WWE ran with a little mixed tag thing for a minute. So if you wanted to do that, it is what it is. I'm not mad at it. But who comes out here to save Adam Cole from getting beat up by Chris Statlander?
Yeah, because we know that would be a great match if Chris Statlander would just attacked Adam Cole at this point. But Adam Cole is saved by his girlfriend, Britt Baker. Britt Baker blindsides Chris Statlander, gives her a brutal curb stomp. That curb stomp was absolutely beautiful, Brian. And then holds Orange Cassidy here for Adam Cole's super kick. That whole little segment between Britt Baker, Adam Cole, Statlander, and Cassidy, that was a work of art right there.
Yeah, they did really good. The thing that was weird is, so did Britt like dump her little like chick faction, her women's faction that she had going on, and just join the Elite or the Super Clique or whatever the name of this faction is that Adam Cole kept saying we're the best faction in the world, but yet has no name? Because are they the Undisputed Era, the Irrefutable Era? Are they the Elite? Are they the Bullet Club? Are they the Super Clique? What are they?
The new era?
The new era? Are they just the best faction? Right, so...
Well, yeah, as far as Britt Baker getting rid of Rebel and Jamie Hayter there, I'm sure we'll find out soon. Probably around Thanksgiving of 2023, we'll probably find out whether or not she's with her crew or not.
Yeah, it was just a little confusing, and then they're all celebrating, but this was good because this was the first time we really got to see Britt and Adam Cole working together on TV and admitting to the whole couple thing and, rolling with it. This is the first
Yeah.
good working stuff we've seen.
Britt Baker with a little Yoko Ono moment here. They were setting up for the Adam Cole cheek kiss from the Young Bucks, and Britt Baker completely interrupts that and plants a smooch right on Adam Cole's lips.
Yeah, to seal the deal. She's in. She's all in. She's super elite. She's the clique. She's the super clique elite Bullet Club NWO. Whatever they want to call themselves today. Faction. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that was a wrap on that whole segment. It was a pretty entertaining segment, not going to lie. The best friends didn't even manage to ruin it. So we go from that to MJF coming out to his own music before eventually bringing Wardlow out for his match against CM Punk. And I'm not going to lie, at this point, I'm halfway expecting MJF to just mollywop Wardlow here so that CM Punk has to take an L.
We were in the same boat, my friend. We were sitting next to each other waiting for the same thing. We're going, well, that's what CM Punk did to MJF's opponent, so that way he got the loss, and then this would really drive the wedge between Wardlow and him. Hey, it was just business, Wardlow. I'm just doing this for us. I had to do that. And it could have been very interesting, but that's not the way it went, so let's talk about this.
No, we actually got a match there between Wardlow and CM Punk here, and I don't know how I feel about this match, Brian, because CM Punk, he's got the talent to make anyone he's in the ring with look like gold, and a few of his last opponents here, we see that CM Punk likes to challenge himself and just go up against absolute turds and see if he can polish them up to make them look good. But Punk is making Wardlow look great here. We're letting Wardlow show off his power, his strength, and CM Punk is selling the shit out of it, and he's bumping all over the place for Wardlow here. But it brings us back to Punk going 30 minutes with Lee Moriarty or whatever. This guy's supposed to be best in the world. He just screamed it from the top turnbuckle this week, and he is just getting his ass whooped by mid-card Wardlow.
Yeah, this whole thing was to put Wardlow up. The point of this match was to build Wardlow to the moon and make him look huge and really oversell that again. But I didn't like that angle either. I didn't like it. I kept thinking MJF, I kept saying CM Punk has to win. Otherwise, it kills this whole thing 2 minutes into the game, right? Then it's over.
Correct.
Then what do you do? Also, it wouldn't have surprised me. AEW's been known to do that. just end a thing right there. But, so with that being said, what do they do? Where are they at? What are they doing? So how are they going to get out of this? How are they going to get out of this? How are they going to get out of this? And I kept saying MJF has to get involved. And he has to screw it up so CM Punk gets the W. That's where it has to go now. And it still really didn't happen. They just kept letting CM Punk get beat up by Wardlow a lot. And then a super, 10,000 power bombs. I mean, there was nothing much in between there to really talk about, is there? Am I skipping over anything between getting to the power bomb symphony?
Just Punk's attempted comeback here. Punk attempting a tornado DDT and seeing Wardlow throw him all the way across the ring. That was pretty impressive. But Punk's little attempt at a comeback here, he wiggles out of a Wardlow power bomb and just goes off on a series of strikes on Wardlow. Wardlow won't go down, and Punk finally has to deliver a flying clothesline to knock Wardlow off his feet. And that was the extent of Punk's comeback. After that, we'll lay this out beat by beat here. We got a power bomb from Wardlow, another power bomb from Wardlow, a third, fourth, and fifth power bomb from Wardlow. Punk is completely out of it. Wardlow steps on Punk's chest. This is after the fifth power bomb. 1, 2. MJF interrupts the count, calls Wardlow over to consult. MJF wants Punk punished more. We get a sixth power bomb. We get a seventh power bomb. Punk rolls out onto the apron. MJF tells Wardlow to powerbomb Punk through a table and tells Wardlow to do his job when he shows any resistance.
So
Punk gets powerbombed through the table.
Now that's where I thought that getting powerbombed through the table was going to be the swerve, and that he was going to get disqualified, and it was going to put Punk as the winner. Right? They were outside of the ring for about 22 minutes. Aubrey doesn't know how to count, and then they get powerbombed through the table. Wardlow rolls back into the ring, and now she starts her count.
Yeah, and the announcers, they weren't shy about that. They were like, Ref Aubrey is being very generous with her count here. She wants this match to go on. She's counting very slowly here. And I was kind of halfway expecting a DQ when Punk got put through the table. But if they DQ'd Wardlow for that, that would completely wipe out any consistency across the board, because see, if you're outside the ring, there is no rules.
Oh yeah, it's ECW rules outside the ring, and I totally thought that they would do that though. It wouldn't have surprised me. Again, the it's always unbalanced, so not all of it makes sense. So with that being said, I was like, well, they can do that. They won't normally do that move and disqualify somebody for putting them through a table, but it would make sense here. Insert here, and they didn't do that. So now it's like, how are they going to get out of this? Because CM Punk has to win. How are they going to get out of this?
And I feel this was very lazy. This is very sloppy. I think back pocket Booker Bryan right here is probably going to have a load of ways that they could have got out of this better than they did. Punk gets back into the ring right before the end of the generous 10 count. MJF wants Wardlow to powerbomb Punk again. Wardlow's kind of like motioning, he's fucking dead. Like, what do you want me to do? Punk keeps falling down. Wardlow's trying to pick up Punk. Punk's kind of dead weight, kind of just, he's selling his ass off here. Punk immediately stands up, hooks Wardlow, rolls him up into a small package, and gets the 1-2-3 here. Yeah. And I just thought that was very sloppy, because throughout the rest of this match, Wardlow hadn't even broke a sweat now. And he just, not from behind, not while he wasn't looking, he wasn't distracted, he didn't get hit with a chair, just a very clean, small package 1-2-3, and exhausted Punk gets the clean win over Wardlow.
You're like reading my notes here. I said, he wins with a schoolboy roll-up. I said, really? He's been powerbombed 32 times, and a fresh Wardlow loses in a small package. like how are we supposed to buy that? I think they had about 6 ways that we've already spoke of to get out of this, and they missed the opportunity. A DQ with the table, MJF interference, an accidental MJF interference where he hits Wardlow with a chair and misses Punk and hits Wardlow with the chair. Ref still doesn't see it. Punk gets the pin. There you go. I mean, there was like 10, 15 simple ways out of this, and you could probably get a little more creative with your time if you wanted to, but something as simple as one of those would have just been dandy. That they could have just figured out a way, but this was a lazy way to get out of it.
Yeah, lazy booking, and so it's a lazy way to get out of this match with CM Punk getting the win. And then we have another lazy way of getting out of this conflict between Wardlow and MJF here. We got MJF completely berating Wardlow, saying he can never win the big match. And I love MJF's passion at this point. He don't need a mic. He can yell. He's spitting. He's veins are popping out of his head. MJF is magnifique on his acting skills here. MJF is poking Wardlow in the chest. Wardlow grabs MJF's finger, and then here comes Britney Spears here to get between these guys here. And then once Spears gets involved, Sean Spears gets involved, everyone just kind of calms down and leaves the ring together, and everything's A-okay.
Yeah. I don't know what Sean Spears has a picture of Wardlow doing, like, in his off time, but, like, or what kind of dirt he has on Wardlow, but, like, Because no matter what he does, he just stops doing it and listens to him. It's like, why? Just bash his stupid head in, too. You're a literal silverback gorilla. You could just tear both of these idiots apart. So I don't get the Sean Spears able just to calm everything down. That's fine, guys. We'll just go in the back, and he just, drops his straps and walks to the back, and it's over. We gotta cut to a pre-tape.
Yeah, it was immediately. It was just Sean Spears is there. Everyone's fine. Let's go.
Yeah, that was just the cue to leave. Sean Spears just ran out to go, guys, you're going over on time. Tony Khan needs you to come back. We got to go to the pre-tape.
Then here we go, Brian. So we thought that match was bad just because it was booked badly. And we're just going to keep things going here. We got Powerhouse Hobbs versus Dante Martin. And I thought this match absolutely stunk.
Oh,
what do you think?
Boy, this was trash. First off, my first note says Powerhouse Hobbs and Dante again. We've seen this as easily 3 times these guys have fought.
The AEW loves this Styles Clash gimmick here, with completely different styles wrestling each other. We've seen it with the Lucha Bros and FTR, though they don't belong in a ring together. Powerhouse Hobbs and Dante Martin don't belong in a ring together.
You could have just stopped it. You could have just stopped at their names individually.
Yeah. Dante Martin just flying all over the place from the very beginning, 1,000 miles an hour, attacking Hobbs, and then Hobbs just stops him in his track, spine buster right onto the floor, and I think that should have been the end of the match right there.
Oh, that should have wrapped it up too. And my little side note while watching this match and thinking about it is, where the hell is Brian Cage? Just something to ponder on there. I can't tell you what happened to that guy. I mean, he was part of Team Taz. He got kicked out of Team Taz, and then he retired. Just gone. Not to ever be spoken of again, like Shaquille O'Neal. Just disappeared out of the back of an ambulance.
Well, I'm sure he's somewhere in Mexico City or something, getting beat clean by Tessa Blanchard.
Oh, it's been a long time, folks. He got one back in.
But who knows? We'll probably see Brian Cage next week because, spoiler alert, the last episode of the KayFabe Smark podcast, we said, where the hell's Lance Archer been?
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, we get Lance Archer later in this episode.
My note for this says these two have no chemistry. It's just going down a checklist of things to do. That's about the way I can sum this match up.
We got Powerhouse Hobbs hitting some suplexes on Martin. So Powerhouse Hobbs doing what he does, just simple power moves. And he has a great look. He has a great attitude. He's intimidating. I think Powerhouse Hobbs has potential, but he needs somebody in there polishing him. He needs a good manager. He needs a good trainer. But right now he's just a rhinoceros in there, just doing big, simple moves.
Yeah, he literally needs to hang out with Taz. I don't know if they just hang out with Taz on TV, but he needs to hang out with Taz and pick his brain some more.
Yeah, and then Dante Martin, after getting just pounded by Powerhouse Hobbs for the majority of this match, all of a sudden shoots a line of something up his nose or something or another, because he is just back 100%, flying all over the place, high flying, drop kicking.
What led him into that is that Dante goes to do a springboard move, lands in the torture rack with Powerhouse Hobbs, but they need to get out of it, so Hobbs has to walk to the ropes, lean to his left, let Dante kick off the top rope so he can flip out of it, and then it's all offense from there on from our buddy Dante Martin. So you're going, it was just like, oh, wait, I have to do this now, and then when this happens, I go do this. There was no just flowing and just going with these moves. It was, they weren't in the right spot, so they had to back up. Powerhouse Hobbs had no reason to go over to those ropes so he could get kicked out of that torture rack.
I was trying to suspend disbelief, like maybe he lost his balance or something. But now that you pointed out, it wasn't just my critical eye there.
It was bad.
It was obvious. Stevie Wonder saw that one coming. Powerhouse Hobbs just wandering over to the ropes and leaning sideways so Dante could kick off the top rope while in a torture rack.
Yeah. Then these guys he goes on this flurry of offense. Sloppy, stiff. He caught Powerhouse Hobbs between the ropes, and it looked like it really rocked him. And then Hobbs does this big, like, what do you call it, like a tackle, like a body tackle, like when you do, like, the big, like, hug around him, too, and he just hit him and knocked him down. Like, everything just looked stiff and clunky between these two at the end. Like, they were just, maybe Hobbs was really mad at him for being an asshole or something, but this looked like they were laying it in thick here.
Yeah, and we can't forget that Dante Martin is either 20 or 21, I think. I think he's the younger of the Martin team. Top Flight. I don't know if you guys want to remember, but that's what his team used to be called. Yeah, I've got I don't know. I can't remember what the move actually was, but Excalibur calls it a torpedo, I believe he calls it. And at that point, Hobbs is on the ground, and Ricky Starks is just begging Hobbs to get up. And Ricky Starks is great, man. He conveys emotion fantastically, and he's so skinny. I don't know what kind of impact he'll have in the ring, but no matter what his impact is in the ring, he always has a future on the outside of the ring.
Yeah, for sure. He can either get the commentary, management, whatever doesn't work for pro wrestling, or he's just going to figure out how to get beefed up like The Rock, because originally The Rock wasn't walking around in the Iron Paradise either, as he is nowadays. So we get him eating a little bit, 42 chickens a day, and he can bulk right up there. But these two, all I kept thinking was that somebody's going to literally get hurt in this match. Watching the end of it.
This was sloppy and clunky, and these two definitely should have been doing this in the training center and not on national television.
Yes, and the name of this podcast is going to be Lazy Booking, because I think this was lazily booked too to get out of this thing. How'd you think about the ending?
Yeah, so another thing, Brian, I don't know if we discussed this on the podcast or if you and I had just discussed it just kind of in passing. We're like, what the hell happened to Jay Lethal?
Yeah. Yeah, that poor son of a bitch. And then all of a sudden, guess who's back? Not on camera, just the back of his head and his shirtless body. No face, because the cameraman's on the wrong side or he missed his mark. Nonetheless, get your shit right, guys. He comes out.
I'm going to catch heat for this. I thought it was Scorpio Sky.
I didn't know who it was. Yeah, just like I didn't know, just the back of somebody's head. But by punching Ricky Starks, that threw Powerhouse off so bad.
Powerhouse
Hobbs. The Power Hobbs. Corn on the hob. Threw him off so bad that Dante Martin could pin him. I mean, when your partner gets punched by another guy, even as fresh as you are, I mean, you're going to get pinned every time.
Yeah, Dante Martin hits the nosedive, I guess they call that one. And yeah, it's a wrap. Hobbs beat clean by old Dante Martin here.
But how does the distraction of Ricky Starks getting punched by Jay Lethal do we know why Jay Lethal punched him?
No,
okay. Jay Lethal had nothing to do, and they were like, hey, go punch that guy. And he's like, yeah, all right, fuck it. Ran out there and punched him in the head. But it didn't make any sense, and then he did, and by hitting your partner gets hit, man, you're going to go down. Anytime Eric's gotten hit, I've laid down and just gotten pinned. I mean, we weren't even in a ring. We were just at this concert, and he got hit, and I passed out because, when your friend gets hit, it's hard to take.
It is. Yeah, Powerhouse just didn't know what to do in that moment. He doesn't know how to lose a match. He doesn't know how to win a match. The guy needs a lot of work. He's got tons of potential. He's got Wardlow potential.
Sure.
But, yeah, just the guy needs some work.
Needs some work is about it. And then we move on to that's just over, right? And then it just ends. Jay Lethal and Dante get out of Dodge, and that's a wrap. And then they just stand there mad.
Now we got two of the best-looking performers in the business here in the back. We've got Chris Jericho and Alex Marvez.
And you call him Blockhead, too. He's on a whole blockhead, pinhead, stupid thing here.
Terrence and Phillip, South Park references because, it's 2004.
Yeah, and you're
Inner Circle, apparently they won PWI Faction of the Year,
Yeah.
which it's almost like when Dave Meltzer will give like 2.0 versus Sierra Romero 18 stars. It's just when you see certain things, you just don't take them seriously anymore. So Inner Circle winning Faction of the Year, I'm not interested in anything PWI wants to award people from now on. It's just like, what a joke.
Yeah, well, for one, what's that mean? Faction of the year. Right? What does faction of the year mean? Why is it a thing we care about? The WWE doesn't have factions, so you mean AEW's faction of the year?
Yeah, at the AEW awards. So we got Jericho talking, and then Eddie Kingston interrupts, and he wants 2.0. Eddie Kingston is telling Proud and Powerful here that Chris Jericho is holding them back. If it wasn't for Jericho, they'd be champions for now. And this little rift, this little beef between Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, I enjoy it 1,000% as long as it stays on the microphone. I do not want to see these two guys wrestle, Brian.
No.
It would be like watching Bear Country wrestle each other. It would be a rough match.
But at least like you can believe a fight between these two. It's not a Jericho Orange Cassidy. It's not a Jericho 2.0 or a Jericho Danny Garcia type match. It is that literally, Jericho could get into a fight and there could be a fight with Eddie Kingston. So I said something I believe that there could be, when you watch those two brawl or, if they were to get into to have a match. So it wouldn't bother me as bad, but you're right, though. The chances are it's probably going to be dog shit. But at least there's a possibility there.
And just got to point out here, Chris Jericho, knowing when to watch his mouth. So TBS or TNT or whatever network they're on, I'm sure gives them a limited amount of shits they can use. And Chris Jericho likes to get on TV as fast as possible to drop all the shit bombs he can. But he knows. He wants to be a bad boy and say, you shitty shithead, you're a piece of shit, and you're a mark piece of shit, but go fuck yourself. No, he has to say GFY to Eddie Kingston here, and Eddie Kingston, not too keen on acronyms, doesn't know what GFY means.
That was pretty good, though. I did enjoy the comedy behind that, where he's like, GFY. Jericho said it so cheesy that I could care. Like, that was funny to me that it was cheesy, but then Eddie selling it at the end, where he's like, looks at Marvez, GFY? Like,
I just can't stand how Jericho will drop 2,000 shits a day, but makes up an acronym that nobody's ever used in their life. I don't even think in middle school I would say GFY to somebody.
Yeah, after he said it, I'll be honest with you, I had to chew on it for a minute and go, GFY. Oh, probably go fuck yourself. Yeah, I figured it out. But it's a pre-tape. Why not just curse it, bleep it out? Who cares?
Right. Exactly. I think that's what they should have did. If Jericho wanted to go the bad guy route, just bleep it. We got more MJF. He's coming out on the ramp, and he is pissed. And once again, give an Oscar to this guy, man. He needs an Emmy, an Oscar, an Emmy, a Grammy. You give them to him, MJF. He is fucking pissed, and he's sweating, and he is all upset. And again, you saw this one coming from a mile away. MJF says that CM Punk will get his match, and he'll finally get his ass beat next week against Shawn Spears.
Yeah.
And what a letdown, Brian. I know there's no other option, but what a fucking letdown.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't coming because the way they said it, he's like, you want it? You want that match? I'll give it to you. MJF or CM Punk taking on Shawn Spears. And then I bet you next week we're going to get him. He's going to have to take on FTR. Like in a three-way match or something of some kind. But you saw it coming. I mean, they got to stretch it out. It's TV. They're selling it. They might be able to push this thing till the pay-per-view. Who knows?
Right. But saying the options are pretty limited here with MJF's squad here. Looks like FTR is going to be tied up a little bit for the next couple weeks. So I don't know if CM Punk will get reeled into that, but we're running thin on talent for MJF's squad here. So we will see what happens. But I'm not going to lie, Brian, I'm not too pumped about Shawn Spears versus CM Punk.
No, because if he loses to Shawn Spears, then he just needs to go home for another 7 years and try again.
Yeah, come back when you're 55. So we got the Young Bucks in the Irrefutable Era in the back once again. And we're circling back a lot in this one. It's not just one and done with these talkers. We are getting a lot of back-to-backs here. And next week, we will get our mixed tag team match of Adam Cole and Britt Baker taking on Chris Statlander and Orange Cassidy.
Dun, dun, dun. There's the mixed tag we were talking about. Mixed tag, whatever. I can deal with those. They can even run a bunch of them. I won't necessarily pop for them, but I can buy and get past those and see those on TV and believe it, right? So it's a tag. You're tagging in and out. Guys, guys, girls, girls. Life goes on. So I believe that and would be fine if they wanted to even make a whole little mini division about it. I wouldn't really care. It wouldn't make me excited, but I just wouldn't care.
Yeah, it would just be another piss break match in my book if we're going to do mixed tags on a regular basis.
Yeah, speaking of piss breaks.
Yeah, this right here, we got Adam Page coming out in a suede fringy vest and a quite the snug Smokey the Bear t-shirt here. And first thing that crossed my mind was, oh man, that's some cowboy shit right there. Looks like a fucking trendy hipster in San Francisco at Starbucks.
Yeah, it looks like you went shopping at the Salvation Army and just blindly picked some things here. You got $7. Go buy an outfit. So he's on a rant talking about how he went in, the last 30 days or whatever it's been. He's gone 90 minutes with Daniel Bryan and, and he's won and blah, 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 and bada, bada, bada. But 90 minutes isn't enough. I need a new competitor. And who's the guy that come out to start talking shit to him?
That would be none other than Dan Lambert, Bootleg Cornette 2.0 here coming out. And this right here, Brian, we're going to add to the lazy booking right here. Because Lambert's point of criticism in this one is he compliments Page. The best thing to do before you criticize somebody is to lay on a couple compliments there. Lambert compliments Adam Page as a wrestler, but criticizes him for basically being the furthest thing from a cowboy. And ding, ding, bell went off in my head. Roughly 2 weeks ago, Jim Cornette had about a half an hour rant segment on how Adam Page is the furthest thing from a cowboy. And they are just lazily taking points and criticisms out of Jim Cornette's podcast and handing them to Dan Lambert and saying, here, say this.
Yeah, he goes on a rant talking about how the real cowboys, Stan Hansen, Dory Funk, Terry Funk, the whole Funk family. There was a couple other guys that he mentioned I don't remember off the top of my head. And how you from the Carolinas and Virginia could even consider yourself a cowboy. And then this whole thing, I believe, was set up to refute and push down, now that you say this, Jim Cornette's comments. Because now Hangman gets to respond to the comments, right? And go, I lived 30 miles from here with, 200 head of cattle or whatever he said he had. And, how's that not a cowboy? Blah, blah, blah.
And I will stick this cowboy, he has to say the brand of his boots.
Sure.
Because apparently they're the brand that real cowboys wear. So, yeah, exactly what you said. It was just a way. Adam Page was salty about Jim Cornette criticizing him for not being a cowboy. He wanted to respond, but he couldn't respond directly to Jim Cornette because, that's Cornette's game. So instead, he gets to respond to Dan Lambert. But in the midst of this, Adam Page, we said at the beginning that he says he needs a new challenger for his belt. And that's when we get Lance Archer. Brian, Lance Archer, new look here, scruffier beard. He's got some raver pants with holes in them. And he comes in here, intimidates the hell out of
Danny Lambert.
Yeah, Dan Lambert here, and then kicks the ever-living shit out of Adam Page, eventually giving him a blackout through a chair that he had conveniently set up in the middle of the ring.
Yeah, I think that, again, the swerve should have been somewhere in here. Like, okay, so why do we have Dan Lambert out here? What is this leading to? Where was it originally supposed to go, right? We know what happened is what was supposed to happen, but there has to be in kayfabe, there has to be an alternate universe of what was really supposed to happen, if you get what I'm saying. Dan Lambert came out there for a hold because he was surprised. He was surprised by the murder hawk Lance Archer, right? So there should have been an alternate. Scorpio Sky should have came out too, or the swerve should have been that Dan Lambert brought him back. And Dan Lambert should have been his manager. So he looked like he's going to beat him up. He tosses him to the side and then mollywops him. And Dan Lambert should have got his licks in too and been like celebrating and doing whatever else. But he rolled out of the ring looking surprised and confused. And you're going, well, that's not the answer. So now you have nothing to do with this.
Exactly. If the surprise didn't happen, what was going to happen? And the answer is nothing. Dan Lambert and Adam Page would have just kind of stood there looking at each other, and then we would have went to break.
That's about it. They just would have went, or they would have sent Sean Spears out to calm everybody down.
He's the chairman, right?
You gotta listen to the chairman. So it just didn't make sense to me so much on what happened and why it happened.
Yeah, and speaking of things that don't make sense, we're in the back now.
Well, actually, I got one more thing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
about this. So Lance Archer wants a title match, which is great. I think Lance Archer, Hangman, make a great title match. But what doesn't make sense to me is the rankings. We already announced they've reset, right? So if he hasn't been here and the commentators announced we haven't seen Lance Archer for 2 months, and only 13 days into this first year, or into the first of the year here. So that means he has a record of 0 wins, 0 losses, and 0 ties. And AEW is all about the stats.
Yeah, it's all about the rankings.
So with a record of 0, 0, and 0, you can come in and challenge for a world championship match.
Yeah, you're not going to get anything out of me on that one.
No, I'm just saying,
I got nothing.
That was just what I just said back. I was like, well, I like Lance Archer, and I want him to get a world title shot, and I think him and Hangman could go out there and beat the hell out of each other. Sure, wonderful. Entertain me. But why do you get it? He should at least say, hey, I was robbed of this, or I get this, or I get to carry this over from last year, or blah, blah, blah. But it's just, I want it, I get it. So, anyways, we shall move forward. That pissed me off. But now we get to go backstage, as you were saying.
Yeah, we get to go backstage. We've got Tony Schiavone, and speaking of a couple other people we haven't seen in a couple months, we have got Brock Anderson and Shoddy Lee, who are apparently a team, hanging out with Arn Anderson.
Yeah, and poor Shoddy Lee gets the camera on his back.
Yeah.
It was the worst camera angle I've ever seen in my entire life, and then you figure out why in about 30 seconds.
So yeah, because we had to set up the camera so that Tully and FTR could come into the frame here.
Yeah.
And this is Horseman country, Brian. You smell that? It's Horseman country. And Tully tells Arn Anderson to drop the dead weight and pretty much let's remake the Horseman. Tully, Arn, and FTR. And I thought this was actually pretty funny here, where Arn's like, he's my son.
I did like how Dax came in and goes, somebody that he wishes was his son. Let him speak for a second here, because everybody compared him to Arn Anderson early, even in NXT through WWE and everything else. And then at the end of even the rant, he goes, see ya, Dad, or Pops.
Something to that effect. But yeah, the long and short of this one is we are going to get FTR versus Shoddy Lee and Brock Anderson next week. And it's just kind of like, well, at least FTR will get a win
Yeah.
Unless AEW wants to throw a wrench into the thing, there's no way on God's green earth Shoddy Lee and Brock Anderson are going to be FTR. Is there, Brian?
God, I hope not. I don't see how that can happen. I haven't seen
Oh,
Brock
man.
Anderson fight since the last time that Malachi Black kicked a hole in his head.
That you might as well, if you're going to let Shoddy and Brock beat FTR, you might as well just let FTR out of their contracts. Let them go do some independent shit with the Briscoes
Yeah.
or,
Be entertaining
fuck.
somewhere.
Yeah, that would be really bad. Next here, we've got Serena De Benshida, and I don't know. I must have been in the mood to torture myself, and I was out of razor blades because I watched this, and I just watched Serena D take out Sheeta's knee before the match and run her knee into the steps before the match. And for some reason, Ref Aubrey just lets this match start anyway. Apparently, Sheeta says she's okay, even though her kneecap's missing. And then for 10 minutes, we just watch Serena D beat the shit out of her knee. We watch her rip Sheeta's knee pad off, and we get to hear excrement say, "Oh, she's ripping her knee pad off. She wants to get to that patella." You just got to overcomplicate everything.
Yeah. This thing was a yawn from the word go. I didn't care one thing about it. They kept saying this is personal between these two. Sheeta doesn't speak English. So how personal is it between these two knuckleheads to be mad at each other? And why is it so personal? What's on the line? A title shot? The title? Somebody's career? Somebody's hair? Nothing. They're just going to beat each other up and then what? Do it again next week? Like, there's got to be a point to why we're constantly having to see these two talk about each other and fight each other. It doesn't make sense.
I mean, Serena broke Sheeta's trophy, 100-win trophy or whatever, like 6 months ago. But that would make Sheeta mad at Serena Deeb, but Deeb's mad at Sheeta, and I don't know. Serena Deeb wins, the ref stops the match, and she just keeps hitting Sheeta's knee with a kendo stick. And, yeah, that's the end of that. And they just need to flip the switch on this and turn it off.
Yeah.
Send them in other directions.
Do your AEW best and just forget that it happened and start something new with it. Like, the time that we need you to do it, you disregard and don't carry on. And now we get Matt Hardy taking on Cero Miedo himself.
Well, you wish, Brian. We got to go backstage first.
Oh, son of a bitch, he's backstage.
Tony Schiavone has spent so much time backstage on this episode. This time he's with Christian and Jurassic Express. And this episode really confused the shit out of me in this whole rankings situation, especially with tag teams. So Jurassic Express say that they'll put their belts on the line against any top 5 tag team here. And this is where Johnny Hungy and I'm presuming it's Alex. Johnny Hungy and I'm assuming is Alex Reynolds come in, and they say they're a top 5 tag team. When's the last time you seen Johnny Hungy and Alex Reynolds wrestle?
Well, if you say it, you become it. It's like The Secret. You gotta manifest your own destiny here, Eric Todd.
Yeah, thank God that will be happening on Rampage. So I'll be in Detroit when Rampage is on at a GCW show. And I'm sure that's going to be way more entertaining than Dark Order versus Jurassic Express.
Yeah, they didn't even bill it as Dark Order either. It was just Johnny Hungy and the other douchebag wanting to fight for the titles. So last week they go off with the titles being the main event, tag team championships, main event. They win them. New tag team champions. Every tag team under the sun comes out to applaud, but yet loosely state their challenge for the championships, right? That's what I took from it. Hey, good job. We see you. We're coming after you, boys. Like, all the tag teams were there. And then this week, two knuckleheads backstage that are barely a tag team come wandering by, and they're like, hey, we want to fight. While FTR is on the other side challenging Brock and Shoddy Lee. How about you put the Dark Order and Brock and Shoddy Lee in a tag team match, and you put FTR and Jurassic Express in a tag team match? Call me crazy.
That would be smart booking. We don't do that around here. We book matches like Matt Hardy versus Penta Cierro Di Mero, and that's our next match here, Brian.
Yeah, and we started out with coming back from that commercial, whatever else happened. Boom, we're back in the ring, and Matt Hardy's already there with Private Party. And he takes the mic, and he kind of shits on Cierro Miero, Penta there for a second and says, sorry for your brother or whatever, but now you're going to end up just like him and in the hospital. And then here he comes, Penta himself.
Yeah, and we get a non-flattering shot of Rebel Hardy or whatever the hell her name is.
Yeah, that weird downward angle shooting up her nostrils while holding a child. Like, it was like, what is wrong? What's happening here? What's wrong? She's a beautiful woman. Why are you guys shooting like this? What happened?
Yeah, I don't know. And then we spend roughly 20 or 30% of this match with just Matt Hardy and Penta Cierro Di Nero just standing in front of each other, getting the crowd to chant, Cero, Miedo, delete, Cero, Meadow, delete. Minute and a half, 2 minutes of that.
Even JR jumped in and said, this is a 20-minute time limit on this thing.
It's just a complete waste of time. And we see why they did it, Brian, because the rest of this match was a complete waste of time too.
Yes.
I picked up nothing noteworthy during this match. Penta was sloppy.
I was going to say, here's my note is Matt Hardy, age 47, looks his age against Penta, only 36.
Yeah, it was rough. And a lot of it goes on Hardy here. He was just moving like the 10-man, and it was just rough. But Penta wins with the fear factor. And I don't even think the point of this match was the match itself. The point of this match was the afterbirth.
Yeah, now I don't remember what happened. I had a brain fart for a half second.
So Penta brings Alex Fuentes or whatever into the ring. And Penta speaks some Spanish, and Alex says, Malachi Black. Penta says, he's going to show you some respect. And then the lights go out. Enter Malachi Black. Malachi Black attacks Penta. The Varsity Blondes make the save. And then we got Penta and both Varsity Blondes with Julia Hart on the ring apron beating down Malachi here. JR takes his chance right here and goes ahead and calls him Aleister Black and chokes on his own words. And he's like, he's laughing. He's got me all confused. Julia Hart, for some reason, says to stop beating him out or stop beating down Aleister Black here. Lights go out again. And it's what we've been talking about for the past couple weeks here. Brody King, finally official, in the middle of the ring. Brody King is part of the House of Black, and Brody King just murders everybody in his vicinity.
Yeah, comes in very aggressive. That giant man doing a flying cannonball to one of the Varsity Blondes in the corner and just murdering that poor son of a bitch and really just showing off his size and strength. Is what this was all about, and building up that House of Black.
It worked. I'm interested to see what Brody King's going to bring to this company, and I think it could be very interesting. Guess who's in the back, Brian?
Tony Schiavone.
Tony Schiavone is in the back with Layla Hirsch, Red Velvet, and Chris Statlander, and we get some very cringy, some very fake, some very high schooly arguing between Layla Hirsch and Chris Statlander, and it was absolutely blood boiling how annoying this was.
I don't even remember it as how shitty it was. I didn't even note anything on it.
But then we're back in action here, and we've got Bear Country.
the dramatic pause. So I go, I didn't even note anything on it. And you go, So we're back in action. We got Bear. You're like, well, fuck, I didn't note anything either. So I guess we'll move
Nope,
on.
not at all. We got Bear Country taking on the Acclaimed, and this is where more confusion comes in because apparently the Acclaimed are the top-ranked tag team in the company, Brian.
But they don't get a title shot. Dark Order does.
I'm so confused. You got FTR. You've got the
Red
Proud and
Dragon.
Powerful over there in Inner Circle. You've got Red Dragon. You got the Young Bucks, who are
remember them?
still a tag team. Yeah, remember those guys? It's you've got tag teams all over the place. You have the Lucha Brothers, who I know that Fenix is injured right now, but all these top tag teams.
Well,
and
soon
then
to see you're
just-
going to see Aleister Black and we just said his name, Brody King. They've been a tag team through the indie scenes for years. So you're going to see those two.
Yeah, and they even mentioned their team name during the segment, the Kings of the House of Black or something to that effect. The Kings of the Black Throne or some shit. But apparently the Acclaimed are the top team, and I don't understand. First of all, Bear Country needs to be future endeavored. There's nothing appealing about these guys.
No. They can be enhancement talent at best, but they're enhancing enhancement talent is what happened there. They're fighting the Acclaim and Bear Country. It's enhancement talent fighting enhancement talent. This is the Brooklyn Brawler taking on Barry Horowitz. You're going
Precisely.
Who's putting who over here? I mean, for the love of God. The best is as I was watching this, my kids came home. My daughter, she's going to be 8 here. She goes, she's watching Bear Country and Acclaim in the ring, and Bear Country's just in the beginning just kind of manhandling the Acclaim, and she's going, why aren't the other guys even trying? Why are they even just getting beat? They're not even doing anything. And I was like, all right, she's starting to see through this.
Yeah. An 8-year-old can see through the top tag team in the company is just getting tossed around by these uncharismatic, sloppy piles of shit.
Yeah, it just made me laugh.
I could understand Otis. All right, these are like 2 Otises that are in there, but Otis has charisma.
Sure.
Otis can sell. Otis has emotion.
He can
These
talk
are
and
just,
make you laugh. He gets the point across.
these are one of these guys I swear I saw driving a steamroller on the side of the highway, and the other one was just holding the stop sign that you can turn around and says slow. Like, they're just guys.
Yeah.
Guys in torn singlets.
Yeah, that's it. They're just guys that have another job, and if you saw them working, you wouldn't be surprised. Be like,
Right.
hey, aren't
And
you
then-
Bear Country as well? Yes, we are.
The whole Acclaimed shtick, that's getting old. They're running the same lanes as Orange Cassidy here, where it's the same thing. It's the indie bug here. They come out every single week and they do a stupid little rap song that nobody cares about anymore.
No, because they can't even be good anymore because he got in trouble.
Yeah, we know it runs through Tony Khan every single week. And every week they don't do anything worth mentioning. They just fight a random team that they have no heat with, and they rap about them, and that's it. Anthony Bowens is gay, so I guess that means that they're the number 1 tag team because Tony Khan wants to, he had to point out everyone who's black, everyone that's Middle Eastern, everyone who's Mexican, and everyone who's gay or transgender. So maybe because Bowens is openly gay, that's why the Acclaimed are the number 1 tag team. It's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing that they've got a lot of talent and they just don't do anything the right way with it. It seems like
Right.
It just gets these.
Now, the Acclaimed, they're more that have potential, but it's lazy. They're just super lazy.
Yeah. The Acclaim, the Orange Cassidy thing I was going to say that you were going off about for a minute there is like when you laugh at a toddler because they do something funny and you genuinely give them a good laugh. and then they think it's funny for the next 48 hours. And you're going, okay, this thing has lost its luster. It was funny the first time that you did this, and now it's pretty lame, kid. And you got to go work on your material. That's what I always tell my kids. Go work on your material. Your joke's getting lame.
Right. Yeah. This is another thing where they're just used to seeing a different audience at a different flea market every week. And so they just want to do the same thing. And turns out the point of this thing was to build some sort of heat with Darby Allin and Sting, which is there a genesis to that? Do we know why the Acclaimed don't like Sting and Darby Allin?
I don't remember. If there is, I don't know. I missed it, or I don't, or it doesn't ring in my head, or it doesn't stand out strongly. And then the best is when, so we just wrap through this thing here, right? The Acclaim win. Which, I mean,
they win with a mic drop.
Sure. And then who do we get coming out? What happens? Lights go down. It starts snowing. And it's where's the button at? It's Sting. He's coming down the ring, and what does my 8-year-old ask? She asks why he gets to carry a stick. It's not fair. How come everybody doesn't? If one person gets a stick, they all should get a stick to hit each other with.
You're raising a little liberal there. If he gets a bat, everybody should get a bat.
I said he's old and he can't beat up the young guys anymore, so he gets to use a bat. So, yeah, the Sting comes in the ring. Darby Allin jumps him. They beat each other up, and I think we go backstage. Like, it just does. There's no ending to any of these things today.
Yeah, that's about it. Sting hits one of the Acclaimed with a bat. Darby Allin just bounces off all the ropes like a pinball machine and does a cannonball into the corner that wouldn't hurt a fly. And that's a wrap on that. And then we get a Pac pre-tape, and I guess he's blind now.
Yeah, he got spit in the eye, right, by Malachi?
I don't remember. I was going to ask you, when did that happen? Like 6 months ago?
Yeah, I think he got spit in the eye by Malachi, and then now he's still been fighting it off for a while. It's hard to see, so he's hanging out in England there with a bandana on his eyes.
Okay. And so yeah, he's been blind for God knows how long. We haven't seen him in months.
Yeah.
And then just moving on to more shit that doesn't make sense. We got Matt Hardy with Party Hardy in the back, and I don't remember if it's Marvez or Shivani. We'll just put our money on Shivani. And all of a sudden, here comes Andrade El Idolo, and they're going to do business. But we don't know what. It's just, let's do business.
Yeah.
Okay. Go to office and we will do business.
And then private
and
party's
they let
not
that
allowed
be
to
a TV segment.
Yep. Let's go to my office. Then they all go, and private party gets told by Matt Hardy to stay there. Why would we stay in the interview segment? Nobody wants to talk to us.
Riveting television, Brian.
Riveting. More like ribbiting. I just sat there like a frog and went brrr. And then I believe we're moving on to the main event, right?
This is the main event, Brian, and it's hard for me to utter the phrase main event and the name Danny Garcia.
Last match.
Why? And they said main event over and over and
did.
Over again. But this thing just started out as two sloppy string beans just swinging wildly at each other. Guevara hits some entertaining dives. Two of these dives, he lands directly right on Danny Garcia's head. Both of these guys throughout the entire match are checking their front two teeth. And that should kind of be a sign to these guys to slow the fuck down and be careful.
Yeah. Britt Baker's backstage.
Why do you want to knock each other's teeth out?
Britt Baker's backstage celebrating, like, all right, send them to my clinic. We'll fix you up, boys. I'll fix you up. She's got a mobile dentist chair that she pulls in a trailer as they move show to show.
She might as well. She might as well make some side hustle money on this one. Again, why is Danny Garcia in a main event when you have endless talent throughout the rest of the roster? We see Sammy Guevara, another top rope front flip butt bomb is what I'm going to call it, because his entire ass just came down on Jerry Garcia's head. Garcia locks in a pretty sick looking scorpion death lock. And then we just see the inexperience of these two, the greenness of these two, and how bad they work together, the ill-fated chemistry of these two, as Guevara attempts to do a crossroads, and somehow them working together was the botchiest crossroads I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, these two had some spots, and then they had some things that you're like, wow, look what they're doing in there. These kids are up there flying around. Maybe they're being a little dangerous, but hey, what are you going to do? They're up there flying around, taking care of business. Let the boys fly. And then you're going, whoa, what are you doing here? Like, it was just kind of like big ebbs and flows. Like, it was like when it was high spots, it was high spots. And when they were dangerous low spots, it was just dull and boring and also probably pretty dangerous.
Yeah, dangerous is the word here. I'm glad Guevara's okay. He seemed to be okay throughout the rest of this segment here, but Garcia pile drives Sammy Guevara, and his head looked pretty low on that pile driver.
We were talking about pile drivers last week. Like, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
And maybe you should trust somebody with experience, not someone who's 23 years old and has only been wrestling for like 3 years.
Yeah.
That's not the guy I want giving me a pile driver.
No, drop you on that stack of dimes you call a neck.
And then we got 2.0. They had to make their entrance here, attacking Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, who are on the sides of the ring. And then we see Guevara hit the GTH for the win. We get David Crockett in the ring, handing Guevara the belt for some nostalgia effect. 2.0 attack Guevara. Everyone brawls.
David Crockett got the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah, David Crockett was like, I'm out of here. Fuck this. And then we see a little argument between Eddie Kingston and Chris Jericho, and that's how we go off the air.
Yeah, they're really going to push it. And I know you said earlier that you like these two arguing with each other because they can yell. Great mic work between the two of them. But let's be honest, Eric, it's happening. These two are getting a match.
And it's going to be on a pay-per-view, and it's going to be ugly.
I don't know if it'll last a pay-per-view. To be honest with you, it's January. The next pay-per-view is not till March. They're going to keep this going for 2 months.
If anyone can do it, it's Kingston and Jericho. They never run out of shit to say.
Sure. I can give you that. And Eddie Kingston's either really got a knee injury or he's really selling this knee injury. So you got that angle, too, that he could go until he's all cleaned up and ready to brawl. But I think that brings this thing home. That was a little Braun Breaker winning the NXT Championship a couple weeks ago recap. We had some news. We did some overrated, underrated. We broke down AEW and their last show. And I think that's a KayFabe Smark podcast in the books, my friend. And you got anything, Eric, to wrap it up before we bring this whole thing home?
No, that about wraps it up for us. So I would say for you, Brian Rampa, for the normally snoozing Pitbull Stella Marie, who's begging me to go outside right now, and for myself, I've got nothing left to say but hooty hoo, we out the gates.